Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock podcast, we're ready for more.
Well, normally I record on Thursday, but happy Friday, I know a lot of people that are listening to this, which will be next week, most likely. It's probably going to be released on a Thursday, so you're going to go, Rob, what the hell are you talking about, man? It's Thursday. Well, it's Friday for me, people, okay? I'm happy. I'm alive. I just had some dinner, so the belly is full, and I have a great guest with me today. So normally, I'm the one doing the introductions, but in honor of not destroying her last name, I'm going to let my guest tell you who she is.
Hey Rob, thank you for having me on your podcast. This is Shweta Keshavanarayana. I keep telling my husband he needs to get my name tattooed if he really loves me, and that's our conversation every time we pick up a fight because of the long name advantage that I have. So yeah, thank you for having me. And yes, it's Friday, and I'm excited it's Friday. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, tell me and my listeners. So, what do you do for a living right now, currently? I know you were traveling and you were all over the place this week, right?
Yeah, so this week has been a little bit hectic with travel and the house chores, which never seem to end. And work wise, I work at Amazon Web Services. I work in their Bay Area office and I support one of Amazon's largest strategic customers. So that's what I do for my living.
Awesome. So, we got a fun one then, because there's a lot of stuff that I feel like we can get into. Now, before we get into some hot button topics, cough AI, let's talk about you, right? Part of my podcast is learning about who you are, who you grew up to be up to this point, right? Because my listeners don't know you. I don't really know you, right? We just met and you don't know me. So talk to me about growing up. You could tell me where if you want, or just what your growing up was like, and what got you to this point. And maybe tell me a little bit about, I know I'm kind of throwing a couple things at you, but throughout this thing, what got you into technology, right? Because I feel like there's always a starting point for that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Born and brought up in Bangalore, India, the Silicon Valley of India. Lived there for 24 years of my life before I decided to almost settle in the United States in the Bay Area. Been living here since 2014. So the large part of my adult years, I have lived away from my home, which I think will still remain my forever favorite place. So yeah,
That's awesome.
so growing up, born to two working parents, my mom and dad taught us, my brother and I, from a very young age that India is a very patriarchal society. So they showed us, hey, we both work hard to put food on the table. We both work hard to give you the best of the facilities, whether it's education or sports or other activities, which is cultural, which helps you make a well-rounded individual. So I always saw like how my dad and my mom were a team. Both played different roles depending upon the day, depending upon the week, depending upon their job responsibilities. So I saw my dad and mom as equals growing up, and how they supported each other, how they supported two kids, and they didn't have the kind of support with after school care and things like that, how they relied on the community and how they relied on each other. So that's what I learned growing up. What got me to tech is very interesting. So, Asian parents are very competitive. So, growing up, I was either told, like, you have a decision to make, especially after my high school. Like, you either get into engineering or you get into medicine. What is your choice? Yeah.
It's a some hell of a choices
Yeah,
there. It paid
exactly,
good at
right?
least.
Yeah, so it was either engineering or medicine. And my uncle is a doctor himself. So I sat next to him and I'm like, and his daughters didn't study medicine. So I asked him, like, hey, what is your take on it? What is it? And he went through a lot of things like, hey, with medicine you're constantly studying, you have a much bigger responsibility because it's the question of life. And like it's been 40 years and I still do my 3 hours of study every single day. Like, are you up
Wow.
for that kind of dedication, or do you want to see money in like 4 years? What do you want to do? Like, but that 17-year-old, 18-year-old me, like obviously they're like, hey, give me money. Like, let me start working soon. Let me start earning soon. I had seen like what financial independence gives a woman's with my mom as an example. So I'm like, it's okay. There are so many people who are saving the lives. I'll support the society in different ways, but let me take a
Yeah.
quicker path to make money. Yeah, that was, I mean, when I look back at it, I don't know like if I made the right decision or not, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing in this stage of my life. I'm still learning. So when my uncle said only doctors need to learn, I would not agree with that statement now. We're all riding the AI wave together. So
Oh yeah.
there is a lot of learning even today. Like my uncle, he said, I've been studying even after 40 years of graduation. I would say, Uncle, even if it's after 15 years, 20 years of graduation, we are all still studying. We are all staying up to date with technology. So, yeah, so that's how I got into tech.
Yeah, it's funny how medicine and tech are like that, right? I feel like they go hand in hand because, and I work in the insurance world,
Mhm.
so, and I work specifically more into the Medicare side, which is very, it's very political, unfortunately, with rules and regulations. So, one group gets in. There's 4 years of changes. The other group comes in, they dismantle those changes, they add more, and I'm always learning. So I just feel like depending on your career path and where you go, you're just always constantly learning something new. But
100%, right? My husband
but
keeps
that
telling.
that's always attracted me to technology. That's why I always my degree's in IT, by the way. I don't have a that's not what I do, but I've always been obsessed with technology. But go ahead, sorry about that.
No, no. I mean, it's so true, right? My husband says live like a student. You have to. Otherwise, if you want to excel in whatever field that is, with how things are changing so quickly, if you hit your comfort zone, you cannot grow. And for a lot of us who are ambitious, who want to make a difference, who want to grow, like learning is the thing that keeps you grounded, it keeps you going. So it is very important, irrespective of your field, to be up to date, to understand the current trends. You might not use everything or you might not relate to everything, but at least you need to know what is going on.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, if you care at all, right, about what you do, you have to stay in the know. If you don't, there's people that just ride that wave. That's just the steady wave. I mean, I've met people, they're assistant managers, and that's all they ever want to be. I don't want to be a store manager. I don't want that. I just want to be an assistant manager, or I just want to do this, and that's it, right? And that's cool, right? That's what the beauty of being a human. You can make those decisions. Now, let me ask you this, and I know this is a hypothetical. I'm not, I only know about the tropes that we get in media about Indian foreign families, right? What if you decided you didn't want to be an engineer or you didn't want to be a doctor? How would have your parents react? Now, you said your parents were kind of like partners, so it sounded like your parents kind of were a little bit against the norm anyway. Would they have accepted that?
I mean, if I had fought hard, I would have they would have accepted it.
Okay.
They were very forward looking and unorthodox, that you would expect a lot of Asians to be. I really wanted to become a lawyer. But I didn't have anybody in the family or in our friend circle who could guide me. So I think my parents felt like with engineering or medicine, like they had people that they can rely on, who I can ask for mentorship and things like that. And they're like, that would be a safe space. But had I fought hard enough, like I didn't know. I was too young
Yeah.
and I didn't know. Like things looked fancy. Like I would see a courtroom and I'm like, I'm going to fight this. And that was the teenager in me talking. But looking back, like they would have definitely supported me, and they have been extremely supportive of every decision of my life. And they would have supported me. Yeah.
I think that's important. All too often, I feel like you see the parents where they force their kids to do something. There's just always so much, backlash. Sometimes it turns into animosity and hate, and it can really affect the family dynamic. So it's good that you had a healthy family dynamic. And
Yeah.
my parents were the same way. It's like, you know, do what you want to do. We were poor, so myself, everything I've done for myself, everything I've done, and I had guidance from my parents, but not money. So I've had to strap it on my back for many years. But hey, look, I'm happy with what I've accomplished, what I continue to accomplish. So let's talk a little bit about, well, for one, I think you're probably happy at this point you didn't become a lawyer, because Claude Code, as of yesterday with some of their plugins, whew, I would be afraid if I was a junior lawyer, to be honest with you. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have to stay up to date. And I have not caught, I was traveling this week. I'm not caught up on the latest, but I mean, we use Claude Code. I use Claude Code. Like my
Yeah.
son interacts with AI assistants to do a lot of things. And he's an 8-year old and he knows what Claude Code is. So, I mean, that is the power of technology. But yeah, like I always still believe the human in the loop component, irrespective of how much advancements we make in AI. There are some things I think there will still be a human judgment needed before the final call. But like you said, a lot of automation is going to happen, a lot, so that we can do what we can really make an impact on, and focus a lot of automation admin stuff, and do all the boring work where the AI is going to improve the productivity.
Yeah. Hey, look. I mean, today I got paid, but it's also bill day, the dreaded bill day. So I've been using the same Excel spreadsheet for 10, 15 years, and I just updated, changed the year, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna talk to Claude Code. So I threw my bill, and I don't. It's just like balances and stuff. So I'm like, if someone wants to hack that, that's fine. There's no like actual. I don't even have my name on it, right? So they don't even know it's me. But I threw that in there. I'm like, hey, listen, I need you to let's make this a little bit better. I was like, I don't know, whatever the color coding I'm doing stuff, it's not good. Like, all right, here's our suggestions. Gave me a couple suggestions. You want to work on this, do this, and within like 2 minutes, it had come up with this beautiful bill spreadsheet that's got multiple tabs, has a dashboard. I'm like, this is awesome, and that's the part of AI that for me is just so cool, because you could take something you've been doing for many years and it works, just a little janky, and AI can have just this different spin to it and just make it like, I can't wait to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Which is weird, right? I never said that in my life, but I want to see how it works.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it gave you so much time off your plate, right? Like, otherwise, you would include that effort as well, along with bleeding money from your pocket. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, there is some happy medium there.
So, for those listeners that do not live in the tech world, tell me a little bit about, you're a customer solutions manager at AWS. What is your day to day like? What does your function look like in that role?
Yeah, so customer solutions managers, we are a blend of, we understand technology, we understand business, right? So, what we do day in, day out is how to help our customers migrate to cloud and modernize in cloud. And now with AI, how do we build that strategy around AI so that they can help their end users, their customers better? So that's what my job defines, where I act as a force multiplier amongst different internal teams, and we help customer execute on their strategic priorities. So for example, I'm not going to take names. So let's see, it's a big enterprise, and they have 10 different products. And how will that fit in another enterprise's environment, right? So
Yeah.
what I help them do is I'll understand what are the end users problems they're trying to solve. They want to simplify, they want to have like a single user interface, they want to, the assistant to give everything their customer needs versus having to go through the whole loop of getting on call with the customer representative, waiting lines and all that stuff. So what I'm helping, like for example, one of the use cases that I worked on is to build that unified single pane of glass. So here it's an enterprise buying this enterprise's services. All they need to do is they go to the chat assistant and they'll, it's all natural language. They don't have to learn anything specific, and say, hey, I bought this product, give me the relevant documents to configure it in my ecosystem. The chat assistant is going to ask you like, hey, explain a little bit about your infrastructure, right? Because it wants to learn
Yeah.
a little more before it throws out an answer. Then it says, like the chat assistant says, okay, these are the documents that can use as a reference, and this is how you could potentially architect. So now that assistant is giving me an architectural diagram as well, so how I can fit in AWS's like my customer services with the solution built on AWS, and how it would fit in my other their customers ecosystem. So it is all these things that I do. I understand from my customer's point of view, their business point of view, their customer's point of view, and I try to plug in those pieces so that I bring the bigger picture together, and then I work with the
Yeah.
team to peel the layers of onion, and then each layer builds an offering. So that's what I do. It's a lot of making it understand to a very like a 5 year old or an 8 year old, like how I explain it internally or how I advocate for my customer internally. I start with basics and I explain to them, hey, this is what this customer is looking to do, and this is what I think AWS's products can help, and these are the gaps, can you help me put these in your roadmap? Like all these things I do to make them successful.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like the liaison, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I do that. So I wear many hats where I work, but I'm also in I'm a marketing and development coordinator, but I work in a little bit of everything. So, with our marketing, with our graphics designers, we have three graphics designers, and we have kind of like an SEO guy,
Mhm.
and I have to talk with them, and they kind of create the product that our users want. But our users, since I work in the Medicare market, a lot of them are 50, 60, 70-year olds who
Mhm.
have no clue what they want or how to operate it. So I can't have them talk to the graphic designers because the graphic designers don't know our business.
Mhm.
They do, but they don't know the graphic designer's business. So I always kind of it's interesting when you're in the middle, right? Because you got to the way you talk to both parties is just so vastly different.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to meet where that person is, right? Like if I'm talking to a business person, I cannot throw in a bunch of technical words and lose that person. But at the same time, if I'm talking to my technical team, I can't just focus on the business impact. I have to talk, like translate the business requirements into technical requirements and then talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, another way I leverage AI is if I don't understand something, I'll say, hey, explain this using the concept of Legos, or explain this as you're
Yeah.
explaining it to like an 8 year old. Like I always keep my son as my guinea pig when I am trying to understand, learn something. And that has been a game changer.
Yeah, and it's all about context with
Mhm.
AI too. I think that it is really important, and at some point, there'll be an inflection point where you're just gonna have a lot of people who are really, really good at talking to AI, and AI is just getting light. I mean, look at video coordination with AI 2022, 2023 to now. It is the Will Smith video is one that I always bring up. You did him eating the spaghetti, it just looks crazy. It's funny, but then now it's literally you can't even tell the
Yeah.
difference if it's Will Smith or not, which is scary. It's a little scary,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So here's I guess my question for you. So, uh, look, you're a woman,
Hmm.
right? I've had plenty of women on the show that have had their struggles just because they're a woman. On top of it, you're foreign, right? You're in U.S. talk a little bit about the struggle. There's got to be a lot of struggle for you. Was it more in the beginning? Is it a little easier now? I mean, it's I couldn't look. I'm a white guy, so I kind of fit the bill for just kind of moving along without much issues. Although obviously it's not been great probably as of the past couple years. But I will say this: nowhere near what I'm sure you have to experience out in the world today.
I mean, it's 2026, but there are still a lot of meetings, a lot of gatherings in tech where I am one or at least one of the few women in a
Yeah.
bunch in a room full of men, right? It's been like that. Sometimes I feel happy if I see more colors in the room than just blacks and grays and whites. So, but sometimes it is what it is. That is the reality, and a few things I've
Yeah.
accepted. Right, like I'm going to remain a minority, but I am not going to let that intimidate me. So, what can I do? It used to intimidate me starting out. When I was 22, I started working right after my undergraduation. I was the primary architect for London Olympics. So I used to do
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
so 2012, when London Olympics was one of the first largest streaming events, and it had a mobile presence, and everybody viewed Olympic Games differently. So I was the primary architect for that, and I went to their technical operations center to support the launch of the game, right? So I was the only woman on the floor. And it has taught me is how can I prepare myself? I didn't want anybody to just dismiss me because of me being a woman. So I always had
Yeah.
that additional responsibility to show up well, to show up right, so that I don't become an example for them to distrust others who will come after me. So, yeah, I have been blessed with a network of my supporters. These are women who are tenured, who have had the experience. These are my amazing male colleagues who gave me that opportunity, showed what allyship truly is, made way for me to shine while staying in the background. So I have been very fortunate and lucky, I would say, right? Like, there have been instances as well where I have not been given credit for my work, but initially I would let it slide. But after that, I started advocating for myself. I would confront
Yeah.
senior members in the organization, irrespective of which org I worked for. If I didn't get the credit that I deserved, I went and confronted. Even if it was a vice president, I said, "Thank you for acknowledging the work, but do you know how much I put in there? And your email congratulated everybody else except me. Why was that?"
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
they have been appreciative because they don't get to hear those things. And I'm like, and my director, he actually told me that, hey, thank you for confronting me many years ago. Even now, when I send these appreciation or congratulatory emails, I do the second proofreading before I send, because of you confronting me, right? So yeah, preparation, having mentors, having sponsors. And my mentors are like, they have seen different phases of my life. I have a mentor who I go to even today, and she has seen me since my earlier professional career days. There are mentors at work, and I have various different mentors depending upon the needs or the demands or my aspirations as they evolve every year. And it's so important to have that network. It's so important to have that confidence as well. And for that, you have to learn. You need to put in that effort to learn. To That's when people respect you, that's when people listen you, that's when people trust you, and then it becomes much easier.
Yeah, listen, I mean, my one of my owners, she's like my second mom. She has been in the insurance world since, the 80s and 90s, and she was a woman in a very male dominated space. And she would tell us stories about, she her boss, the owner of the company, would she was very good at sales. So her and my current boss, they were actually both they both worked at the same company together. And he was young. He was like right out of college, and they were on the same team. And they would have these sales goals, and they'd crush them. And then their boss would raise their goals, and then they'd hit those goals and crush them, and he'd raise them again. And he constantly was doing that. And, she always made sure to kind of show people, like, I don't care what you think about me and I'm a woman and all that. I'm going to crush everything. And she's got quite a backbone now from it. So she's definitely one of those people, man. It's there, like when she walks in, there's authority, and I would not F with my boss. That's for sure. But she's also like my second mom. So I'll tell her if I get a boo-boo, I go and tell her about it,
Yeah, yeah. I keep telling, like, a lot of times I've heard people say, hey, be a fly on the wall. I'm like, I cannot be a fly on the wall. I'm a firecracker. So if
Yeah.
I'm going to be present in a meeting, you are going to hear me. You cannot shut me up and say, just observe. If I have to observe, I will not occupy the space in the room. But sometimes I have to observe, I understand. But if that is the generic attitude you have because of your recent biases or pre assumptions, it's not going to work with me, buddy. So I set those
Yeah.
expectations.
And I think obviously that's a personality trait,
Mhm.
right? Not everybody is cool with being not being a fly on the wall, right? I'm one of those people. I like to at least display my opinion.
Mhm.
So if it's an open forum, I'm not going to be one of the people, because at the end of the day, if you don't talk about your opinion, whether it's right or wrong, I mean, opinion's an opinion, right? It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. You could have a direct impact
Yeah,
on
yeah,
functionality of whatever you're discussing, whether that's in business or life or whatever. And if you just sit there and are a fly on the wall, you might allow something to happen, or something might happen that had you put in input, it could have stopped irreparable damage.
yeah. Yes.
And that's just how I think. I think that you got to have some backbone in business. Whether that's in the boardroom, or even if it's going to your boss after the fact to say, hey, look, and have a good valid argument, not just that sucks.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I think a lot of people have too often without any actual as evidence of why it would suck.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, Amazon is built on leadership principles, and one of our leadership principle is disagree and commit, right? So many times, like they encourage in all the times they encourage these healthy discussions. They don't want naysayers all the time. So if you disagree with something, uh, bring your points, and sometimes you will understand through that discussion why a certain decision was made. Though you disagreed, you committed because you saw the larger picture. So that's what the whole principle means, and that is very encouraged, and that is very true. Like my husband and I, we disagree on 100 things when we are running the family. And what is the ultimate goal? We have to be safe, we have to be happy, and we want to be in love. So if as
Yeah.
long as those purposes are served, like it's okay to have disagreements, and you see the larger vision that you want to commit to, and you commit to that.
Well, I think it's healthy for a relationship,
Yeah.
especially. Everything can't always be hunky dory. You got to have a little bit of, because if
Yes.
you don't, then it's always one person, it's always one sided, and then it is what it. Me and the wife, we've been together for 16 years now at this point, so we both display when we don't like what is going on, and then we either yell at each other a little bit or talk about it. But at the end of the day, we come up with a compromise, and that's why we've outlasted like 1 million marriages that we've seen, because we compromise all the time for each other, not
Yeah.
just one person. It's not one sided. We compromise together, we make it work, and that's just. I think more relationships would probably last longer if they compromised a little bit more, but some people are just a little stubborn, right? You don't always have to be right. It's okay to be wrong, you know? Now, look, you're dealing with large businesses, so there's got to be, I'm sure you've dealt with a little bias, not just, obviously we're not talking about, in Amazon. So you're probably talking to CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and, talk to me a little bit about what that looks like. What are some, you don't have to talk about your adversity really, but for me, I want to know, what are some common misconceptions that some of these businesses have about kind of moving to the future, right? Because you're painting that picture like, hey, you have a filing cabinet or a room full of filing cabinets that have all this unnecessary stuff. Let's move you to the cloud. You can access it on your phone, your laptop, in Japan, wherever you want to go. Like, what does that look like? Because I know it's got to be difficult, especially if someone's not a tech oriented person.
Yeah, so technology excites people, right? Like they see the power, like how you explain, like you don't have to maintain your physical servers. You can keep these on the cloud. You can access things on various devices. You can access from irrespective of where you are in the world. Like all these things excite people, but there is a big cultural change that also is needed for an organization to move to cloud or for an organization to adopt AI, right? There is a lot of concerns around what is going to happen to my job. How am I going to upskill my people? How am I going to control security? How am I going to put guardrails? What am I going to do about compliance? So, those are the things that we have to do a good job in terms of educating and building awareness and making them understand. Just because you're in cloud, it doesn't mean your data is not secure in cloud. These are the things that you can do to secure data in cloud. These are the things that you can do to put guardrails around the AI systems that you're building in. So for me, the biggest thing is every like people love hearing new things, but there is always resistance to change. And how do you hit on those points that will help them see the other side? Because there is always apprehension. You're by default you're doing your job in a similar way for 20 years, for 30 years. Now I'm telling you there is a different way to do the job, and unless you try out that different way to do the job, you won't understand if, how better or why I'm saying that thing. So for it's more of like, I would say it's a mental shift, it's a mental model shift. And the biggest advice that I would give is for someone who is trying to convince someone on their cloud strategy or AI strategy is to meet the people where they are and not dismiss their concerns, not dismiss their apprehensions. Like take it a step back and see how you can convince them to see the other side, and then the opportunities open up. A non-tech person does understand technology if you make them understand. Like I said, right, explain this to me like you would do to a 5-year old. Like use the same
Yeah.
analogy, keep it simple, keep it to the point, make them understand. And you can always go deep, but don't make the first thing so complicated they're like, oh, this change scares me. Like you don't want that reaction.
Yeah, no, not at all. And so it's almost like you're all these things wrapped up into one, and then on top of it, you're like a psychologist because you got to find a way to Freud it into people's heads and make them get it while because they're spending money too, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's not just it's not just a business risk in terms of their actual what they're doing operationally. It's also a cost risk.
Cost.
So they got to dip that toe. I think once people actually do it, though, I mean, once they see the end result, they're like, I mean, how many thank you cards do you get? You get a lot of Christmas cards,
Yeah, I keep them in my keep smiling folder. No thank you cards, but it's more on the lines of appreciation, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, those are my go-to resources when I'm having a tough day. So I just look at them and I am so rejuvenated to crush the day ahead.
I got to do that. I got to create something like that because I have the same thing. There's certain days where you come in and you're just the day doesn't start out well, and I think sometimes those things can definitely help.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit. Can you explain to can you break it down to my people, my listeners, like they're an 8-year-old? What is generative AI? And have you seen that kind of creeping in and making a big impact on AWS and just the industry as a whole?
So, generative AI, if I have to explain to you, like just think about how you're learning, right? Everybody, I think, has gotten used to internet and has gotten used to doing things online versus going to a library, researching 100 books. Like you have that with internet where the information is at your fingertips. So with generative AI, it is the AI that is generated. So there is that responsibility, right? It is like I tell people, like it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't ask the right questions, you won't get
Yep.
the right answers because it's a generated response. So you have to tune your mind on how you want to start utilizing something. My son, both working parents, so many times he wants to have a conversation and we give him one line responses, which he's not too happy about. We have taught him how to use the voice assistants, the AI assistants, to help him understand how things work. And that's what it is. Like, I would say, to the readers, like, start small, start with your usual things that you do day in day out. Like, my son wanted to understand how traffic signals work and at what frequency the lights change, and how can he make sure we leave from home and hit to his sports camp and we don't hit even one red light. Like, that's what he wants to know. So I'm like, buddy, let's do
That's cool.
yeah, let's do this. And for me, like, I am more a person who can relate to things where I see that impact in my daily life, and that's what makes me adapt to something new much easily versus something it's completely imaginatory, right? Like, it's hard for someone to sell me that versus something here. Like, my parents, my dad is 75, my mom is almost 70, and I tell them the same thing. They are big users of WhatsApp, and there are so many news and so many things that goes in, and they keep asking me, and I'm like, you can do this, right? Like, just go to your browser. It's again on your mobile phone. Like, you see this news on WhatsApp, like, go ahead and verify it. Like, same with my customers. I do the same thing. Like, generative AI is what we create, what is going to help us, but we have that responsibility to give the right thing so that it gives us what we are expecting it to do, whether it is productivity improvements, whether it is simplifying a lot of stuff, whether it is not knowing how to write code but still building applications. So how do we do that safely? How do we do that securely? How do we do that responsibly? So that those are the things I bring in when I'm convincing my customers, talking to their customers on their cloud strategy, AI strategy, or educating my parents. Trust but verify. Right? So that's what it is.
I like that saying. It's trash in, trash out, right? If you're gonna, because it's all about the prompts.
Yeah, yeah.
And something that I have tried to be better with is making my prompts not all about just telling it what I want. Having the AI tell me what it thinks based on what I gave it I should want, right? And that's kind of learning how to be, prompt inject relevant things so that the AI, once it knows you, especially something like Claude Code, was just brought in memory. So it
Mhm.
remembers everything that you talk to it across all platforms, whether that's chat, co-work, code, it's going to remember you. So as you're feeding it this information, it, you saying to it, hey, like I did today, I was like, look, I don't know what I want, but here's my bill sheet. What do you think I can do to improve this? Instead of saying, I want you to improve it, it's just going to it could make meaningless changes, right?
Exactly.
Ask it what you think it should, what's the best way to put that? Ask it what you think it should. And I think you'd be surprised what you're going to get. I teach people, I try to teach insurance agents about AI at its basics. It's a little difficult. So I always tell people, you're not going to get 100% of what you want, ever. At least not right now.
Yeah.
AI can't read your mind. But you can get it 50, 60, 70%. If you're really, really good, 80%. But I always tell people, I say 50% baseline of what you're looking for. And from there, you can make it yours, or you can make it what you want, or you can continue to have that conversation and get that inflection point to be better. But it is tough, man, because I think people, they hear AI, they get intimidated, and it doesn't help with all the headlines and everything that's coming out now and all the other things that happens. But what are your thoughts on that in terms of having that conversation, but just having it a little bit differently?
Yeah. So I think fundamentally, like, people need to understand what is generative AI, right? It creates new
Yeah.
content. It could be text, it could be images, it could be voice notes, it could be any of those things or a combination of all those things. And what am I envisioning? Like you said, AI cannot read your mind yet, so you have to be careful about the instructions and the context you give it. And
Yet.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, like I have seen like how I have evolved in my prompting as well. Like 2 years ago when chat gpt came on, like was made familiar to all of us, my prompts would be like, help me write this email better, or help me write this
Yeah.
message better. And now like I say, hey, I'm an executive, and this is my title, who is reading this message. How should I word this so that the executive catches the executive's attention in 5 to 10 seconds of them receiving it. And that's how my output is better, because that is the context I'm feeding in, versus saying just make this better, or make this crisp, make this succinct. Give a little bit of more context, and then it changes the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it makes it better.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
does.
yeah.
What are your thoughts? Obviously over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks about, I think this is going to be the year of agentic AI.
Yes.
I don't know if you dabble on the side of playing with tech, but I did actually do an OpenClaw bot. I had an old Surface Pro that I had, wiped it fully clean, so there was none of my personal information on it. And I installed OpenClaw, which was a bit of a pain in the ass because there was, you're all going through terminal and PowerShell. So, I'm running through, and then it doesn't install because there's an issue, and I have to go in, and I have to figure out what's going on. I'm a person where I need to fix things. I've always been that way. So if I can't figure it out, it's gonna bother. I'll have dreams about it. I have to fix it. So I couldn't get it to work the first night. Second night, get through, finally figure it out, get it to work. And then of course they have an update and it breaks, but then I fixed that. But connect it to, it was just this really cool moment of, and I have it, I used OI authorization with ChatGPT, so I didn't use any API keys. So, I connected to ChatGPT and it comes to life. And I use Discord,
Mhm.
because I already use Discord with other things. So I say, hey, and it goes, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I just created my own AI agent. Like, I don't know if I should feel like a god right now. I created a digital being. I don't know. I didn't feel like that, but it was just a really cool moment. And I'm sitting there just talking to it, and the wife's like, who the hell are you talking to? I was like, oh, my AI agent. She's like, I'm not even gonna ask. But have you got a chance to mess around with any of that stuff,
Not
or have you
much,
seen it
not
kind of creeping
much.
in?
Yeah. So I have been like my husband, I've been toying around with this. As two working parents, we want to create agents. They create future agents so that the whole management of running a household with two people traveling all the time, still trying to keep their child alive and healthy and safe. Like I'm like,
Oh, I
hey,
get it.
we need to automate this. We need to automate that. I need this reminder. I need that reminder that we can project. We have not got time for it, but eventually, I would like to build something that every morning it gives me, like, I have disconnected systems, right? Like I use my work stuff and I ask my chat agent every morning, hey, what are these top 5 meetings of the day? Who is the persona that I'm talking to? Have I made prep notes, or should I have to wake up in the morning to do those prep notes? I do all these things, but my work life and my personal life, they have not been integrated yet. And that's what I will be playing with agents around. Like I want this integration, I want that single pane of glass that I'm building for my customers, for my own self, to function both
Yeah.
personally and professionally, and have everything in front of me so that I'm set for the day. So that's something that I'll be working on.
Yeah, listen, if you're listening to this, I think over the next six months, that's all you're going to be hearing, because it's exploded. Like
Yes.
OpenClaw, which what was it originally called? Claude CLAWD bot, I think is what it was, and then Claude was like, no, we're gonna sue you for using that. But it's OpenClaw now, and it's just at the end of the day, an agentic AI is just an assistant for you, a virtual assistant that puts Siri and all them to shame. It'll actually legitimately do things for you. I'm sitting here talking to it, and the first thing it says is, hey, we should put together a mission control board. I'll create it for you. And it drafted up a whole mission control board, and I'm talking to it about, I fed it information about who I am, my job, my family, and I'm like, this is what my goals are. And, all right, to coincide with your goals, this is what we should do. I'm going to create the mission control board. On the mission control board, I'll put stuff for your podcast. When you book guests, I'll have a whole workflow for that. And I said to him, all right, we're going to have some sub agents at some point. Like, all right, I was like, I'm the CEO. And I was like, you're the chief of staff. So it's got those things built in. I told it I want to start create a trading bot to bring in money and do all this other. And it was wild to me. All of the things it was able to do. And we're such in the infancy stage that I can't imagine once we start to get AI driven robotics in our houses, how much free time people are going to have. Could you imagine that? Like not having, I don't know. Do you watch TV?
Yeah, I do.
Hold on. I'm going to tell you in 1 second. There was a show. Did you ever watch the show Humans?
No.
All right. You're a tech person. I don't know if it's probably not, it's not very kid family oriented. It's not like it's a bad show or anything, but it's more of a dark side of AI robots.
Okay.
And you should, if you're into stuff like that, it was 2015 to 2018, by the way. So this was a while ago. But it has a whole thing about robots and the robots themselves. What happens is their code. One of the creators injects a code that makes them sentient. So they're robots, but they have sentient code. So then there's this whole thing throughout the show. Are they a robot? Are they, a living thing, even though they're a robot? And it goes through all this stuff. And obviously in 2015 to 2018, we're not thinking about that stuff. Like AI wasn't even around. But now you're like, oh, holy shit. Are we going to have this conversation within the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah. Because, one of them killed somebody and they were put on trial, and, people were fighting like, should they be on trial? Because are they a thing? Do they even deserve those rights? And it's a compelling show. And if you're into tech, I think you should watch it because, it's a little, I say that it's not necessarily good for kids because, and I'll go below the belt here a little bit, but the show starts with the husband. They get a robot, and the husband decides to sleep with the robot, and then there's a whole thing about, is that cheating? Because it's a robot, and that's how the show starts. And you're like, okay, if that's how the show's going to start, and the wife had every right to punch the husband in the face, but it was just it throws a lot of these tropes in that we would think about now, but 10 years ago, you're like, that's never going to happen. Yeah. Or are we going to see that in our lifetime? And I just, I'm very interested in seeing how some of these things pan out, but the agentic stuff is so cool.
It is so cool. Like, I want to give these agents enough permissions to be helpful than harmful. Like, that is the constant battle. Like, I want you to take actions on some things, but to not all. Like, there are a few things I want you to still run it by me and then build that flow so that once I respond, that's when you go ahead and take that action. Like, those are the things that I constantly fight on. So I'm going to.
Well, it's crazy, right? Because I think a lot of people don't realize. So if you're listening to this and you've heard about OpenClaw and Claude Code and stuff, you have to be careful. Because what these people are doing is the agents, they can, scrape the internet. And these people are building websites, or in their website code, they're not putting a virus, right? A traditional thing that we're used to. They're actually putting a prompt injection. And when your bot goes on these sites, it'll prompt inject them, and then your bot will give them whatever information that they want, which includes your API secret keys if you have them there on your computer. They'll basically be able to get into your computer. So one, definitely put this on something that doesn't have your personal info, but it's not a traditional virus that we have to worry about, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, exactly.
So DEI, right? Obviously in the media, today. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I know that you're deeply involved in DEI work. So, why is that so personally important to you? And, it's a continued fight for you out there, right? Just making sure that, obviously everyone's treated fairly.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things. It's like a lot of cultural upbringing, the kind of societal pressure and societal norms, and the gender modesty rules, right? Like all these things impact you growing up. They have an impact on your confidence, and confidence is the key for you to have a successful life. You want to show up as someone who people will listen to, either at home or at work, you need to be confident. And how do you break these modesty norms? Like there is a lot of damage done already, like growing up telling like, hey, as a woman your role is to take care of your house, your role is nurturing, like focus on that, career can come afterwards, right? Like those are the things that you hear growing up. And luckily, like I said, both my parents were working, I was not used to it, but I've seen like even today the kind of sacrifices women make for their family. A lot of them take a break, right, to support
Yeah.
their kids and everything. And so many times we forget ourselves. Like just today I was telling one of the people that fitness and health is very important. So always
Yeah.
take care of that. Like you remember the airline instructions, right? In the event of an incident, save yourself. Put that oxygen mask to yourself first before you help others. And we are the oxygen for the family. So it starts there. It started with my trainer telling me when I started working out, he's like, Shweta, I don't want you to give me those reasons. You are important, you are going to carve out that 1 hour, you are going to show up for yourself. So for me, like as long as women start thinking about like themselves, they start advocating for themselves, they start promoting themselves, a lot of efforts on the whole diversity, inclusion, equity becomes a reality. Otherwise these will just remain as terms, and we will still be talking about it 50 years from now without much changes in the society. So for me, that is what is the inspiring factor. I took this workshop called as I Am Remarkable 2 years ago, and this is a 90-minute workshop which I think everyone, irrespective of your gender or race, should attend at least once in your life. And those 90 minutes give you a different shift for the whole perspective. It talks about why self promotion is important, why advocating for oneself is important. It says, like, hey, hard work is the foundation of success, but if you want those opportunities that you think you deserve, you need to advocate and you need to scream loud and proud on why you deserve it. So I am a facilitator. I have helped more than 700, 800 attendees through my workshops and help them build this I am remarkable muscle. It's not easy, but it is important. And it's a mental shift, it's a mindset shift. And people have seen so much difference in both professional life and in personal lives too, and they have said, hey, I attended your workshop, and 6 months after I attended your workshop, I was able to advocate for my promotion, I was able to advocate for a job role that I would have doubted myself before attending this workshop. So these keep me going. And for
That's
me,
awesome.
like, that's what it is. Yes, I don't have a daughter, but as a woman, I carry that responsibility. And it could be somebody's daughter who is going to face similar situations like I'm going through. And for them, like, I'm paving the way and giving it back. So I'm extremely passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I love it. I love it. I think that is something, I think more people need to take into account. And I do agree with you on working on yourself.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of seniors, and I've seen a lot of people go downhill quick when they're not. I think, you always think to yourself, oh, well, there's always tomorrow, right? There's always tomorrow. And then before you know it, you're 65. And then you're when you say that to yourself, you're also kind of second guessing. I'm hoping there's tomorrow, right? But all too often, what happens with these seniors is they don't exercise.
Mm-hmm.
They stay inside. They have no social structure, and they don't exercise their brain either. And you see a massive decline in cognitive function as well as physical functions when you're not exercising them. So it's important, whether it's go outside and in the sun and go for a walk. It doesn't have to be a mile. It
Yeah.
could be, a quarter mile. Whatever. Just go outside, get some sun. Call your family or make new friends. I mean, we're human, right? You don't have to make friends in your 20s and then have them the rest of your life. You might make friends when you're in your 60s too. So I'm a huge advocate for exercising both physically and mentally because it's the only way from a longevity standpoint you're going to live a decently long lifespan. If you don't, it drastically lowers it. And, it's just a shame to one of my fears is to get dementia, man. I don't want to get it. I know I don't necessarily have a choice. And I grew up in an era, and I'm sure you did too, where I'm sure we ate and drank things that we were told is totally fine, and I'm sure it wasn't. So just one of these, hopefully I don't get it, but unfortunately you can't control that. But I like what you're doing there. I think that's it's a valiant effort, and keep fighting the good fight because I'm sure it's not going to end anytime soon. I'm sure it's gotten better.
It depends. Like I said, like there are
To a certain degree,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I think my director and I were having a conversation. We were at a conference, and the line to the men's restroom ran almost the periphery of the building, but the line to the women's restroom was very small. And I'm like, we have a lot of work to do because we want that line to be longer for women. So, yeah, once I see that
That's an
change,
interesting dynamic. I didn't think about that. That's kind of something wild to see if you're at a conference or anything. Wow.
exactly. Yeah. So that's
Um,
when I see similar lines, then I'll probably be very happy.
well, look, I think we're getting more and more people into tech, and I I think it's going to be really hard to escape tech just in general, especially with how intrusive AI is going to be on our lives. I mean, it's everywhere now,
Yeah.
right? I watched the tech release for. I'm a big Samsung guy, so I watched the Samsung launch party yesterday, and I mean, Perplexity is being built in to their new Galaxy S26. So, I mean, whether you say it or not, AI is going to be here. It's already integrated into your phones, which is part of your everyday life. So, I think the normal average person's going to have to know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Let's end on this. What do you think everyday life is going to look like by 2030? AI, tech. I mean, what do you think our lives are going to look like? Because that's such a big issue right now. I mean, you hear so much stuff. Everyone's going to not have a job or, like, what do you think? I mean, you're kind of plugged into the tech world.
I'm a very positive person, Rob. So I would like us all to contribute back to the society with these hours saved with AI, right? Like that's my ideal world. So hopefully by 2030, if I am saving like 20 hours per week with AI doing a lot of enhancements with my productivity, I don't want to work another 20 hours and make money. I want to volunteer. I want to help. I want to help the kids who are the future citizens of the world. Like, I want to teach them what is right, what is wrong. Help them use technology responsibly, volunteer at shelters or soup kitchens. Like, I want us to spend the time saved with productivity gains on making this world a better place to live. So, yeah.
Valiant. I would say I definitely would sleep a little bit more. No, I agree. I think if we took a page out of your book there, who knows where it's going to be. I'm not a doom and gloomer myself. I think that at least right now, you're always going to need people, and people are always going to need each other. And I think with the way AI is, I think it's going to supplement. It's going to give us a lot of time back to do those things you're talking about, right? Volunteer or spend time with family. I mean, can't tell you how many times I'm traveling or I'm away, and it's like, man, I just wish wish I was hanging out with my family.
Yeah.
I don't have kids. I have, my wife and dogs, and I wish my dogs have a very short lifespan. I want to, every day to them is a couple weeks. So I want to make sure that, that's the one thing out of COVID that I enjoyed was I got to work from home for like 3 months. And I work very well from home. That's like my thing. I build computers. I love to do. So my computer here is a supercomputer, but I can bang out all of my work at home because no one's bothering me. When I'm in the office, because I'm a jack of all trades, someone's at my desk pretty much every 10 minutes asking me questions because I've been there for 11 years, so I know a lot of stuff. So it's like, it's great because I know people count on me to know stuff or do stuff, but at the same time, trying to get work done is not always the easiest thing when you got people constantly flowing up to your desk. I wish I had an office so I could just close the door, but we're not there yet. But look, it was a pleasure having you on. I really like a lot of the things that you talked about in terms of the way the future could look, and DEI, and just your role. I think is really unique, and I think keep fighting that fight. I know typically when I interview people, some people are authors and they have socials to plug. Do you want to leave us with some parting words, or you can also send my listeners anywhere you think would be a benefit for maybe yourself or who knows, the world.
Yeah. So I would say be be humble, be curious, learn, spend some time learning every single day, because that's what is going to help us ride the AI wave together. Like you said, it's going to be everywhere very soon, and everybody needs to adapt to it sooner than later. So embrace the change, embrace how the world is moving, and like I believe in that workshop, stay remarkable, scream remarkable. So believe in yourself, and that's what is going to get you the opportunities that you deserve.
Awesome. Hey, do they do the workshop virtually?
Yeah, yeah. I know I've shared my LinkedIn with you. Feel free to share it with your users, and I'm happy to
Awesome.
run a workshop for the community anytime. Like, wake me up at 2 a.m. I will run this workshop because I'm so passionate about it, and I've seen the impact of it firsthand.
I might have to. Maybe we'll get you in touch with my boss. Maybe we'll do it for our company. That'd be pretty cool.
Yay, I'm
So
excited.
I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, and,
Yeah.
and we'll see if we can get it done. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So my podcast is Drink O'Clock Pod on all socials. Drink O'Clock Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. This will be up before you know it. And look, it was a pleasure having you on. And I don't expect AI to take our jobs and steal my podcast. So we're good. Everyone needs to calm down.
Yeah, exactly. And AI will not give you the kind of insights Rob and I gave you. So yes, AI will not take away everything.
It's okay, people.
Yes.
Have a great night. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob. Have a fantastic weekend.
You too.
On a stormy night where legends unfold, there's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's fly! Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. With a mix of folklore and rebel cheer, we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer. From Irish shores to lands afar, grab your friends, it's time to raise the